Alhamdulillah, salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah, amma ba'd. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd. Here with me is my sahib.
Isa Abu Isa, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, Alhamdulillah, before beginning today's talk, and no doubt, as you can see from the title, this is an advice, and we want to make a disclaimer. For lately, we've been making clips and videos and audios and videos and whatnot, addressing some of the problems that we see within the Salafi community. And we're not going to stop doing this until we wake up the individuals, or wake up the people, inshallah ta'ala, and hopefully allow us to rebuild and reunite. The purpose is not to attack. Again, the purpose is not to attack, not to go back and forth, not to make it seem like it's us against them type situation. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to hopefully let everyone involved from the du'ats to see that the potential harm and danger of ta'assub, fanaticism. And a lot of the people, when you talk to them, engage in conversation with them, the article that you're going to hear from us today, you're going to see this is some of the mindset. And we hope that our beloved brothers can take a look at this as well and say, you know what, maybe we all have to collectively come together to try to put an end to this. So our purpose is not to say, well, did you hear the latest news? The brothers are attacking the other brothers, or the brothers are supporting the other brothers. That's never been our intent. And our intent, inshallah ta'ala, is always to make sure that we all advise one another and all make sure that we call each other to that which is correct and to open the people's mind. So today, inshallah ta'ala, me and our brother Isa, we will try to shed light on an article that was composed by our brother Abu Aliyah, the White Battle. And the title of that article is dealing with a dialogue between Abu Thabit and Abu Munakid. Now, Abu Thabit is a name that is made up, but what it means is someone who considers himself to be firm. And Abu Munakid is someone who considers himself, to be upon contradictions, always contradicting himself. And it's called Unlocking the Mind of the Hizbi. And this is a dialogue that will take place that me and the brother will act out. But before we get into that, we would like to establish what is Dalil in Islam. What is evidence? So we're going to bring some statements from scholars you might have heard of, scholars you might not have heard of. And hopefully we're going to listen to their words on to what is actually Dalil and what is evidence. And the purpose for this is so that we can realize that we need to all know what is evidence, not the statement of a da'i, not the statement of a scholar, not the opinion of someone, but what is actually Dalil. So once we're all on that ground level, then hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, we can understand the soon dialogue.
No. We're going to begin with
Sheikh Muhammad Sheikh Muhammad Imam Jami, but try to at least go by their respective title with those who preceded the other ones. The Sheikh commented on what is Adillah. Sheikh Muhammad Imam Jami, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, he said that Adillah, he said, وَكُلُّ عِلْمٍ يَقْدُمُ بِدُونِ دَلِيلٍ فَهُوَ دَعْوَةٌ. He said every knowledge that does not proceed with evidence to support it, then it is nothing but a claim. No. Every piece of knowledge, any information that you get that does not precede it with evidence to support it, then it is just a claim. And he said, وَدَعْوَ لَا بُدْلَهَا مِنْ بَيِّنَةٍ. And that a claim, it is a must that one have clear evidence to support that claim. The Sheikh said, Ad-Dalil huwa, and then now he defined what is Dalil. He said, evidence is, in Islam, call Allah. Allah said. That means the book of Allah, the verses of Allah, or those ahadith that are authenticated from the hadith, which is known as Hadith Qudsi, those sacred hadith, which is attributed to Allah Azza wa Jalla. He said, Qala Rasulullah. And the statement of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in terms of those pure and authentic hadith that the muhaddithun has authenticated, then we take them as evidence. And he said, وَإِجْمَاعُ الصَّحَابَةِ وَإِجْمَاعُ الصَّحَابَةِ, and the consensus amongst the companions. And the consensus amongst the companions, whatever the companions agreed upon. So this is what's considered to be dalil.
No. And now we'll bring the statements of Sheikh Somoli Fawzan, Hafizahullah Ta'ala, where he mentions, he says, بِالْأَدِلَّةِ, he says, لَا بِالتَّقْلِيدِ وَإِنَّمَا بِالْأَدِلَّةِ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ وَالسُنَّةِ فَهَذَا هُوَ عِلْمٌ. Sheikh Somoli Fawzan, he says, when he says with proof, what is this evidence? What does it mean? He said, without blind following. Without blind following. Even though there's times where blind following is permissible, but in general, the Sheikh is making a general statement here. He said, بِالتَّقْلِيدِ, without blind following. He said, verily, that the proof is from Quran and it's from Sunnah, and that is knowledge. Then he goes on and he says, وَهَذَا هُوَ عِلْمٌ الْعِلْمُ هُوَ عِلْمُ كِتَابِ وَالسُّنَّةِ وَأَمَّا أَقْوَالُ الْعُلَمَاءِ فَهِيَ تَشْرَحْ تَوَضِّحُ فَقَدْ كَلَامُ اللَّهِ وَكَلَامُ رَسُولِهِ. And he says, and that is knowledge. And the knowledge is knowledge of the book of Allah and the sunnah of his Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said in the statements of the ulama, after the statements of the scholars, they explain and clarify the speech of Allah and his messenger, faqat, only. Meaning the scholars' statement is supposed to guide us into the book of Allah and the sunnah and clarify it to us. Then he says, قَدْ يَكُونُ فِيهَا أَوْ فِي بَعْضِهَا خَطَأٌ. And he says that in some of their statements, in the process of explaining the Quran and Sunnah, some of it, it has to be mistakes in it because they're not prophets, they're not messengers. So it's possible that if you hear a refutation from a scholar about a particular person, that maybe the information that came to that scholar was tainted. Maybe the information that came to him wasn't all the way there, so he made a ruling where he said something based upon the information that he got. It doesn't mean that at the end of the day, that statement is a proof or a hujjah in Islam that we or anybody else has to take it. He says, وَأَدِلَّةُ لَيْسَ كَلَامُ عُلَمَاء وَإِنَّمَا أَدِلَّةُ هِيَ آيَاتُ قُرْآنِيَّةٌ وَحَدِيثٌ نَبَوِيَّةٌ. He said, so proof is not a statement of a scholar in itself. A statement of a scholar is not proof in Islam. He said, rather it is ayats of the Quran and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. وَأَمَّا كَلَامُ عُلَمَاء فَهُوَ شَارِحٌ مُوَضِّحٌ مُبَيِّنٌ لِذَلِكَ لا أنه دليل في نفسه. So as for the speech of the ulama, then it explains and clarifies those particular issues from the Quran and the Sunnah, and they are not proofs within themselves. And that's the end of the statement of Sheikh Somoli.
And may Allah Jalla wa'ala reward the Sheikh tremendously, because in his speech he gave us some added benefit, and that is how to gauge and understand the statement of the ulama, how to understand their statements in terms of their statements are not used as evidence standing alone. And also Sheikh Sulaiman al-Ruhaili, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, when mentioning about a particular sheikh judging or ruling on a particular person, he mentioned three main reasons. And one of those reasons, he said that all of the information that the sheikh got about a particular person or a particular matter might have not all reached him. So he might not have all of that. So when he makes his ruling, he might not have all of the evidence or all of the information there at present with him. And what we're saying is that the statement of Sheikh Al-Albani, the statement of Sheikh bin Baz, the statement of any particular Mashaykh is not considered to be the statement of any particular Sheikh is not considered to be evidence in and of themselves. It's not considered to be evidence in and of themselves. Is not considered to be evidence in and of themselves. The statement of a particular Mashaykh is not considered to be evidence of themselves. And this is extremely important, especially in our time. We love the ulama, we love the scholars, and we love those individuals who connect us to the scholars. But we have to make sure that our connection to the ulama is based only on the fact of them clarifying to us this beautiful deen, and not to have it with fanaticism, not to place any statement of one scholar over the other scholar, especially when the dalil is not in supportive of that, because the dalil, as we have seen, and we're going to see more statements inshallah, what is considered dalil. The statements of the scholars aren't dalil. Sheikh Salih al-Sheikh, in his commentary of the same particular book, he mentioned that dalil is He said it is more general and it can be taken from a text either from the Quran, which we already know, or from the Sunnah. All right? And here he said, Qul Sahab. He said, or it can be a statement of a companion. And we're not going to go into detail about that with the people of Usul al-Fiqh who explain when a statement of a Sahaba can actually be a dalil. But he said, Qul Sahab, or min ijma' or qiyas. So here, the Sheikh, he said that there are 5 matters that are considered to be the dalil. 2 of them are the asl and the rest are subsidiary. The first 2 is Quran and Sunnah, no doubt. The statement of Allah and the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. Second, after that, you're going to have either ijma' or qawl and sahab. All right? The statement of the Sahabas or the consensus of the Sahabas. And then after that, you can have what we call, she mentioned, or you can have that. After that, you can have what we call qiyas. Now, some of the scholars say there's more than that, but these are the 5 main ones: qawl sahab, ijma', and qiyas. That's where they normally stop at, where there's no difference amongst the scholars. There becomes different after that, and this is not the time and place to go into that technical part, but we just need to know what is dalil, inshallah. The brother going to read Sheikh Ubaid's statement on what is dalil.
Nah, Sheikh Ubaid, Hafizullah, Sheikh Ubaid, Hafizullah, he begins, he says, معرفة الدين الإسلام بالأدلة. فهذه جملة تنبيه إلى قاعدة التي استنبطها علماء من الكتاب والسنة. He said, القاعدة أصل في عبادة المنع إلا بالنص. He says that this jumla that can have a knowledge of Islam with its proofs, said this statement or this sentence makes us pay attention to a qaida, to a foundational principle in our religion that the scholars have pulled out from the Quran and Sunnah. And he says that the asl in worship, or the foundation in any act of ibadah, is that it is invalidated or not accepted except with a proof, except with a text saying that you can actually do the act of worship, because worship is tawqifiyya, acts of ibadah, meaning they only can be taken from kitab and sunnah. You can't just make up an act of
Worship. Why we can't just make up an act of worship?
You still just can't act of an act of worship. فتدين وتقرب وتعبد لله لا يكون إلا بالنص الصحيح الصريح. And he says that getting close to Allah or doing acts of ibadah, he said it is not accepted or is not established except with a clear text that say this is an actual act of worship in Islam. Nobody can come and tell you, no, this is permissible in an act of worship, this is haram act of, not unless they come in with established evidence from the book and the sunnah. Then he goes on, he says, فَلَيْسَ لِإِجْتِهَادِ مَجَالَ فِي إِثْبَاتِ شَيْءٍ مِنْ تَعَبُّدٍ. He said there's no place for ijtihad in the affairs of worship, acts of ibadah. There's no ijtihad there. There's no, okay, now dhuhr is now 6 raka'ah, or fajr is now 1 raka'ah. It's already established. You can't do that inside acts of ibadah. And he says, وَهَذَا دَلِيلُ إِمَّا كِتَابُ وَإِمَّا سُنَّةُ وَإِمَّا إِجْمَعْ عَنِ السَّلَفِ أُمَّةً عَلَى أَنَّ اللَّهَ أَمَرَ بِكَذَا. And he says, this dalil is either from the book of Allah, from the sunnah of his Prophet ﷺ, from the ijma' of the companions, the salaf before us, that this particular act was commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
No,
Then,
you don't have to read that part.
No.
Alhamdulillah, so now we see that all of the agreements from multiple Bashir, alhamdulillah, and we didn't want to try to seem like be presumptuous or pretentious like we're true students or something, and go back to the Salaf, actually, what they consider what is Dalil, but that'll be sufficient.
Yeah.
Dalil is definitely the statement of Allah, the statement of His Messenger, and the statement, the consensus of the Sahabas or Qiyas. However, Dalil in no circumstances that benefit the Sheikh Salih Fawzan can be the statements of the ulama. What is our point in saying this? Is because the following conversation that you're getting ready to hear, inshallah ta'ala, will not be used back and forth. You're going to hear the person mention what he considered to be dalil, and we wanted to mention this in the beginning to let you know that this isn't dalil, because we all know what dalil is. So Tayyib, our beloved brother Abu Aliyah, may Allah Jalla wa Ala reward him for bringing this to light. He put together an article, many of you might have saw it, and he begins his article by making the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal fi Surah An-Nisa, وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ. He said, وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِي اخْتِلَافٍ كَثِيرًا. Have this Quran been from other than Allah Jalla wa Ala, you would have found many contradictions therein. and he's going to start the conversation. I'm going to be Abu Thabit, and our beloved brother here is going to be Abu Munaqid. All right, remember, Abu Thabit is the one who considered himself firm upon the evidence. Yeah. And Abu Munaqid is the one
who contradicts himself.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm sorry, are you Muslim?
I'm Salafi.
So am I, but you didn't reply to my greetings.
I don't give salams to innovators.
Aki, are you for real?
The Salaf didn't give salams to innovators.
Come on, man. What about Ibn Abbas?
Well, what about him?
When he went to debate with the Khawarij, he gave them the salams first. Is my innovation like that of the Khawarij, or worse?
Well, you say you Salafi, but I don't see you pray with the Salafis.
Is my Salafi validated by whether or not I pray with the Salafis?
I'm saying, though, if you were truly Salafi, you would pray with the Salafis.
Where do the Salafis pray?
In the Salafi Masajid.
What makes a masjid Salafi, Haki? What are the conditions?
Look, man, at the Salafi Masjids, we have Salafi Durus with the Salafi Dua from our elders, from the likes of Abu Khadeejah, Abu Hasan Maalik, Somoli, and their likes.
So you are saying Salafi classes given by Salafi teachers makes a masjid Salafi?
No, I don't. Don't ask me about the ulama.
Aki, I'm asking you because you labeled your masjid Salafi. So that means I pray with Ahlul Bidah.
Man, the Salafi Masajid have Salafi Durus with Salafi teachers. I'm saying that's what's going on there.
Aki, I think you are forgetting something, because many masajids around the world fit this condition, like the Prophet's Masjid and the Haram in Mecca.
All right.
Yeah, and I don't see the ulama name those two holiest places in the world as Salafi masajids. Can you tell me one scholar who said the Haram and the Prophet's Masjid are Salafi masjids?
I'll have to check and get back to you, but I remember the Noble Brothers posted something from Sheikh Mukbil mentioning the Salafi Masjid.
What was Imam Mukbil's proof? And is the statement of a scholar evidence or a means to understand the evidence?
You're trying to diss the Sheikh? Imam Mukbil always spoke with Dalil. You don't know.
No, I'm not disrespecting the Sheikh, but I'm asking you for his proof to call a masjid Salafi. Can we call our Eid Salafi? Muslims gather there like they do in the masjid. So what is the proof?
I don't know what his proof is, but I'm sure he had it.
So you blind following the Sheikh?
So what's wrong with following a scholar?
Nothing, but if you are acting by a speech for your actions, it is better to know what his proof is. Abu Hanifa said it's not permissible for anyone to act on my speech unless he knows what my evidence is.
Okay, I'll check with the Noble Ustaz and SMS you the Dalil or hit you on Facebook.
Cool. So do you only pray in Salafi masajids?
Man, I bump my head wherever I'm at, and the salat when the salat comes in.
Don't say bump my head. That's not a term for salat given by the Salaf or the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I got a question for you. If all the masajid you pray in are the only Salafi masajid, what about the other masajid that you don't consider Salafi? Are they places of bid'ah and his people?
Aki, I ain't say that.
But I am asking you, Aki. You didn't give me salams because you said you don't see me pray with the Salafis. And you say you don't give salams to innovators.
Nah, really, I don't give you salams because you ain't clear.
Clear? Am I blurry?
I saw you supporting the conference at Brixton. They support Al-Ma'rabi and Al-Halabi. We don't gather and support with people who support and defend deviants with false principles or those who attack Sheikh Rabi' and the Imam al-Jah wa Ta'dil.
Brother, Sheikh Salih Suhaimi and Sheikh As-Sindi were going to be there, and they don't support Al-Ma'rabi or Halabi. And corrected someone who spoke ill of Sheikh Rabi' at the conference. If Sheikh Salih Suhaimi is a Salafi scholar, can we say Sheikh Suhaimi and Sheikh As-Sindi are deviants now because they were at Brixton Masjid?
The Ustaz, our elder, the noble brother Abu Khadeejah, said we don't go and gather with Ahlul Bid'ah. This strengthens their numbers.
Yeah, I remember that audio, and Abu Aliyah said he made blanket tabdir with that statement.
Man, that guy is a pretender, a hater, a degree purchasing fraud, a shameless hip-hop fanatic, a liar. Abu Khadeejah never said all the scholars who attended the conference are innovators. Your mans need to repent.
Wow, the name calling goes on with you. Aki, perhaps the spinning tactic of this brother has caused you to forget the English language and the principle in the Usul al-Fiqh.
What are you saying?
His response was that's similar to Ahlul Bidah when they face strong proof, name calling. Next point, Abu Aliyah never said that Abu Khadeejah said all the scholars who attend the conference were innovators. But maybe you and Abu Khadeejah don't know the context of the sentence and his actions. For example, if I say I like apples and orange and mangoes, which fruit do I like?
Apple, orange, and mangoes.
But Aki, I only said I like apples, so why are you adding oranges and mangoes?
Because you said it. Because you said and.
Tayyib. So now let's listen to his statement again.
Okay, play the Ustad's words.
Okay, I'm going to pause it here. He acknowledged that people are leaving him, so he's angry. Every year, a corner of the masjid is gone. He said it, right?
Yeah, now play it again.
You don't want the truth go. They say we're going up the road because Sheikh Fulan is coming. Or we're going down to Luton because Sheikh Fulan is coming. Or we're going to Britain because Sheikh Fulan is coming. So you will gather with Ahlul Bid'ah.
Okay, so what?
Do you understand English, yes or no?
Yes, I'm saying what's wrong with what he said, though?
Did he or did he not say Sheikh Fulan is coming? So you're gathering with Ahlul Bid'ah. Aren't those his words?
Yes, but he didn't say all the scholars, Mr. Battle. Mr. Battle's tricking you. He said, so you'll gather with Ahlul Bid'ah, meaning those masjids.
Where on the audio did he say those masjids? He clearly said Sheikh Fulan is coming after mentioning various masjids. Then he said, so you will gather with Ahlul Bid'ah. Who's gathering with Ahlul Bid'ah then? If it's the masjids that's intended and not the scholars as you claim, then aren't those scholars who gather at those masjids blameworthy too? Or do they have diplomatic immunity?
I didn't get you.
You are trying to interpret his clear speech for his defense, when clearly he said Sheikh Fulan is coming. So you will gather with Ahlul Bid'ah. And everyone who understands English will tell you the context of his words means the scholars are included. Next point, for the sake of argument, you said his intention for his words, gather with Ahlul Bid'ah refers to the masjid, correct?
Yeah.
So if those masjid is what is intended when he said Ahlul Bid'ah?
It is. He's referring to those masajid being places of bid'ah.
Okay, then what does that say about the scholars who visit those places and teach there then? Aren't they gathering with Ahlul Bid'ah? You say a man is on the religion of his companion.
I told you I'm a layman. I can't make a ruling on people. You should ring the ustads and the noble elders at SP directly.
Aki, let me be frank with you. I prefer to avoid the ustad for many reasons. Among them is the fact that scholars have warned against them. And in particular, Sheikh Wasil al-Abbas and Sheikh Khalid al-Radadi. And Sheikh Salih Suhaimi said he was ignorant.
Sheikh Wasil is a alim, and he's wrong about the Mektaba. He only criticized them because of his love with Ahlul Hadith and Green Lane Masjid. And other people put some stuff about our noble brothers in the Sheikh's ear. Plus scholars in Medina praise them.
Aki, is a detailed criticism. It's a detailed criticism. And doesn't it take precedent over general praise?
Aki, the elder, the noble brother Abu Khadeejah, is a man who calls to the following of the scholars. What are the people you take from calling to?
They call to Allah and the obligation to follow the messenger, and not only the opinions of the scholars. So Sheikh Wasil sat with the Mektaba for hours and asked them for proof, and they couldn't produce a shred of evidence. And you call this an error?
Ustaz Anwar Wright destroyed the doubts about that criticism. When you have criticism like this, you must first look to see if the man is calling to sunnah in his speech and action, and that what our noble elder, our Ustaz, does, and his trustworthiness is established. Alhamdulillah.
So you are saying Sheikh Wasil is wrong, and his criticism isn't in detail. And the Sheikh, after sitting with them for hours, only based his judgment on his desires.
Nah, I ain't saying all that, but if you knew the Mektaba, you know the Sheikh is wrong this time. But he is still a scholar, though. We can accept and reject every scholar's statement except the Prophet.
So let me ask you this. Then if Sheikh Wasil is wrong about our brother Abu Khadeejah, why can't Sheikh Rabi'ah be wrong about our brother Tahir?
Oh, you see, you trying to defame and drop all the Sheikh's criticism. You liar, you dajjal, you imbecile, you ahmak, meaning a fool. You're trying to attack the Sheikh. He's the Imam of Jah wa Ta'dil. Sheikh Albani said he's the flag bearer of Jah wa Ta'dil.
Yo, man, calm down. How did I attack the Sheikh? I simply said if Sheikh Wasil is wrong about Abu Khadeejah, then why can't Sheikh Rabi'ah be wrong about Tahir? That's all I said.
Nah, you playing with words. Hey, yo, I know what you trying to do. Tahir was criticized by Sheikh Rabi'ah.
Is his criticism general or detailed?
Well, the Sheikh said if he was Salafi, he'd write the Bayan and free himself of Ma'rabi and Halabi and not write against the Salafis.
Okay, I'm asking you that. Is that detail or general? And does not writing a Bayan take a person out of Salafiyah?
It's a criticism, and he should have wrote the Bayan.
Other scholars in his city, Medina, where he's lived since about 96 to 97, advised him not to and said there was no need for it. That's one point. The second point is a person can say the same thing about that criticism you reject against Abu Khadeejah for the criticism of Sheikh Rabi'ah. It was built off erroneous information. Sheikh Suhaimi asked Abu Khadeejah for one piece of evidence that he gathered against Sheikh and Sheikh Tahir, and he couldn't do it. Not one piece of evidence.
You see, you calling him Sheikh. You're supporting him and Medina.com and the likes of those of which have come with Tamyir.
No, I'm calling him Sheikh because scholars in Medina called him Sheikh. Scholars like Ali Nasir al-Faqihi, Sheikh Salih al-Suhaimi, and Sheikh Abdul Razak.
had his master's dissertation, Sheikh Abdul Razak actually said that Sheikh Tahir was among their status now, before bursting into tears. So now I ask you, what do you do when you have a detailed praise and a general criticism? Not to mention, Sheikh Tahir lives in Medina and Sheikh Rabia at that time lived in Mecca. So could it be possible that the scholars in Medina who see him every day were more familiar with him more than Sheikh Rabia was?
What you saying, Sheikh Rabia is ignorant? He based his criticism off proofs and evidence.
No, I'm not saying he's ignorant, but I am saying he's not infallible.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, check this out. What was it that made Sheikh Rabia come to his conclusion? Did he go through Sheikh Tahir lectures or visit Medina.com website? What was it? The evidence? What was the evidence? What was his evidence?
You're trying to dispraise the Sheikh. You are a fool. You are all caught up in the Madcom, the Medina.com fitna. You support the likes of those clowns and their games.
Aki, watch the name calling. And how am I dispraising the Sheikh? Okay, take this then. Can I marry you? Can I marry your daughter without a wali?
No, the hadith says that marriage without a wali is invalid.
Is Abu Hanifa an imam from Ahl Sunnah?
Yes, of course.
Well, his view is a woman doesn't need a wali.
Well, he's wrong.
What about gold for women? Is it halal or haram?
Gold is haram for men to wear, but halal for women.
Sheikh Albani considered it was haram for women as well.
He was wrong.
No, the Prophet, does touching a woman break wudu?
No, the Prophet ﷺ kissed his wives, then went to the prayer.
Imam Shafi believed that it does.
I think he was wrong.
All right, brother. I just mentioned 3 positions from 3 imams, and you rejected their positions. Why?
Because their positions went against the evidence.
So if a scholar goes against the evidence, we can reject his position?
Yeah.
I noticed you didn't call me names and you didn't raise your voice and express the same zeal for Abu Hanifa, Al-Albani, and Ash-Shafi like you did for Sheikh Rabia.
Aki, I'm straight. I'm going to stick to Spubs. They are our elders in Dawah, the likes of Kashif Khan, Umar Quinn, Hasan Somoli, Abu Hassan Maalik, Musa Richardson, and others from their likes.
Elders, huh? Aki, none of them are as old as Dawah Deep. He's a senior citizen and has been given Dawah since the 80s. Why didn't you mention his name?
Who was he?
He was the Imam of Lincoln Street and played the role for introducing Salafiyah to the West way back when.
Oh, yeah, I remember how now he got issues.
Issues? Is he a deviant?
Man, he lectures with Zahid Rashid at Basira. He also didn't write the Bayan and free himself from Halabi and Ma'arabi and their likes.
What is wrong with Zahid? He brings scholars here every summer.
Really? I didn't hear about this.
That's because you isolated in your Salafi Masajid. He brought Sheikh Fahad twice and Sheikh Khala Radadi once. Are they Salafi or deviants?
Yo, look, man, I ain't going to make the tabdi of the scholars. I leave that for the people of knowledge.
Okay, fair enough. But you said Dawah Deeb has issue because he works with Zahid Rashid. But you won't say the same thing for people more knowledgeable than he is, who also work with Zahid. So if Brixton Masjid is deviant, Green Lane Masjid is deviant, and Zahid has issues, then what does that say about the scholars who visit them? Are they unaware of these organizations and individuals' true nature, or are they the deviants?
Maybe.
I got it now. You roll with the group that titled themselves the Salafis.
Yes, they are upon clarity in Manhaj, and clarity in Salafiyya, and clarity in Aqidah.
Aki, I hate to inform you of this now, but they have characteristics of a cult.
Man, go ahead with that. That's that paper. That's that paper that Lamont Shameless printed was made to attack the noble upright elders of Salafiyya.
How do you figure so? How do you figure so? I read the paper and he didn't mention any names. Okay, name one person, just one person they consider as a Salafi Muslim from the Du'at that is not with them. Come on, brother, just one in the West. And stop giving me the deer in the headlight stare.
Mm-hmm. If those Du'at were Salafi, they'd work with our brothers from the likes of Germantown and Masjid Rahma.
Okay, so is a condition to work with those masajids?
Man, the Salafis are united. Allahu Akbar.
I don't doubt that the Salafis are united.
Upon clarity and Manhaj.
You mentioned Masjid Rahma. Where did the former Imam study at again?
He got understanding in the quotes of the Athar of the Salaf.
You mentioned Germantown Masjid. How long was Hasan Somoli in Yemen for again? And what did he study? By the way, didn't you hear what happened between him and Adu Fatah over a Facebook post?
No, what happened?
Khalas, I'm going to let you ask them. But if they don't answer you, I'll share the incident and his phone number so you can call him.
No. Son, it's like you got nothing better to do than attack the Salafis.
Attack? No, don't say that, but rather say criticize. Who is above reproach? I can see you new, so how about you open your eyes, read, and ask questions?
No, I'm not new. I'm just coming home from prison.
Good, fresh start. Get a job. Go back to school and focus on the things that benefit you in this life and thereafter. Don't waste your time with these guys too much.
Yes, alhamdulillah, I learned my Salafiyya inside. We have to avoid the innovators and stay away from the Hizbis like Ali Davis, Muhammad Munir, Mr. Badr, and their likes.
Aki, watch your tongue. The angels are recording.
Man, them dudes got temyid and support Hizbis. So we group people with their friends. Don't you know the hadith? A man follows the religion of his companions. And the Salaf used to say, well, whoever hides his bid'ah from us can't hide his companionship.
What's wrong with Muhammad Munir?
He supports Tahir and Medina.com and lectures with Siraj Wahaj Masjid.
Okay, so the scholars in Medina deviant too, who support Tahir?
Man, stop bringing the scholars in this. You asked me why Muhammad Munir is a deviant, and I told you.
Please, you use an issue that's not connected to the usul of the sunnah and then joined it to those who you disagree with to declare them Australian innovators. Medina.com, man, Sheikh Khalil Radadi was the moderator of the site until he stopped due to his workload.
And Ali Davis has Ikhwani and Tamid principles. He on a flyer calling to unity with deviants.
It isn't everyone who involves themselves in politics and calls to unity to be called an Ikhwani, unless you think we are supposed to call to separation. It is not permissible to teach a misguided Muslim. Are they going there teaching? Or are there any restrictions being placed on them from the host?
Man, you don't know the Sirah. The dawah of the Prophet ﷺ was to call to separation. Don't you know he was sent with Al-Kafirun?
Nah, you got a misunderstanding here. And this is getting lengthy. Plus, I got errands to run. But dig this, each and every one we spoke about today has articles, audios, and books available. Please produce some evidence that go against the Quran or the Sunnah or the Ijma' of the Salaf by way of their speech or writings. Otherwise, I have to consider your refutations from you and your group as bogus and fraudulent that are built upon jealousy. Okay? Assalamu alaikum. Aki, I gave you the salams. We done. Assalamu alaikum. Man, never mind. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. I'm out.
Yeah.
In this particular talk that our beloved brother, alhamdulillah, that's concluded the dialogue. We did not bring this up to make joke or make fun, but most of these conversations are real and they are tangible. And as you've seen, Abu Manakit have not stated any evidence whatsoever to support his claim against any of the particular brothers in question, nor have he supported his claim. He just believed that someone is upon innovation because he might move a certain way and group with a certain people that are not with these particular people that he used to take, he's loved and he is fond of, taking knowledge from. And this is important. Just because students, especially for us laymen, just because students of knowledge, and they come back and they do work with this person or work with that person, doesn't give us the right, if there's no restrictions on these particular people, if these individuals have nothing holding them back in terms of giving dawah, doesn't give us the right to start making separation based on that. Okay, yeah, we have found the love for Hasan Somoli. We have found the love for Abu Khadeejah. We have found the love for any of these brothers, then that's okay. If you want to take knowledge from them, that's okay. But don't make that a basis for separation. Don't say because I'm with them, I'm against them. And reason why we titled this whole talk, Advice to Our Brothers, Hasan Somoli and Abu Hasan Maalik and Abu Khadeejah, because we want them to help us eradicate this fanaticism that we see. And we ask that, inshallah ta'ala, that they also look with a close scrutiny, and see that the scholars that they are calling us to, even Sheikh Ubaid, if we were to contact their present day scholars and look at the scholars, that they don't behave in this manner, nor do they act in this manner. We really have to look at this. The scholars are not behaving this way, and we have to ask them to look and make sure they stop this fanaticism. Stop letting people overpraise you. Stop making people separate over certain issues. If a person doesn't take from Shadi Muhammad, then he doesn't take from Shadi Muhammad. But that shouldn't be a separation base. That shouldn't be where as though we're split now. We need those brothers to stand up and to really, if they really truly seek the face of Allah and really truly worry about the deen of Islam, and have Garrett stand up and stop using the statements of the ulama of the past and twisting them around against other Salafis. Twisting them around against other Salafis.
I think I just want to pull out of what he was bringing there. I'm just pull it out. It's one thing that he said. For example, and just pay attention to this. Someone says, well, Sheikh Rabi'a said this about Fulan, or this Sheikh Fulan said this about this person. And then I don't take that, or Abu Zayd doesn't take it, or some other person doesn't take that. Because we have other scholars say other than that, right? They're talking about the same person, but other scholars are not refuting them. They say, no, take from them, you can benefit from them, and we consider them a person of the Sunnah. But then you got maybe 1 or 2 or 3 scholars on that, with these particular brothers, saying, no, you know what I mean, whatever information got to that scholar, he doesn't, deem the brother have some issues, whatever the case may be. And we don't take that, we're defaming the scholars, we're not. Wouldn't that same principle go with them who not taking the position of the scholars that the other people are taking? When does that principle apply, and who does it apply to? Because there's at least a dozen scholars who say don't take from Abu Khadeejah and Salafi Pub. If somebody takes that position, and you call them an innovator for that, what do you call those scholars who take that position? Which there are a lot of them who take that position that you can't take from those particular brothers. Now, I don't run around saying don't take from those brothers and stuff like that. But I'm saying is that that's a position of some of the early men, known early men. So if you don't take that, are you disrespecting those scholars? Or is it okay for you to go take Sheikh Rabia and Sheikh Obey? They said that, and you just say, oh, I'm more comfortable with that. So at the end of the day, those principles that people are using, who does it apply to, and what does it apply to? And in closing, for me, it's saying that to the brothers here, to the people of Philadelphia, just as a sincere advice. It's not nationalism. I'm not calling to us because we're all from Philly, and it's just if you're not from here, you can't live here. And I'm not saying that, but I am going to say this: we grew up in the same neighborhoods, we drank the same water, went to the same schools, had the same tragedies, grew up in the same broken homes, come from the same chaotic neighborhoods. And for us not to care about one another and have those same things that unite us outside of Islam, because Islam is the first thing that unites us, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. But there's other cultural things that we've been through, these hell that we've been through, these tragedies that we've been through, these hardships that we've been through, these neighbors that we grew up in, same situations, most of us. To let outsiders come in, people come in here and turn us on one another like this and have us hating one another, this is not good. And it's actually very disgraceful. And we have to be men and stop doing this. This is just, it's not good. It's not good. How are we not united? We got the same book, the same sunnah, come from the same scholars, we from the same exact addresses. And we're not united because people who are not even from us, wasn't born here, didn't drink from the Schuylkill, is here now telling we can't take from each other. We should be ashamed.
Now, the point that our brother had brought up about taking the position of this scholar, defaming that scholar, we have to really be clear, and that's why I like what Sheikh Khalid Fawzan the law said. We have to understand how to really respect the scholars. That's another thing. How do we respect the scholars? It's not upon us to blind follow any scholar or any student, and it's not upon us to overpraise any scholar or any student. It's upon us to really follow Kitab wa Sunnah.
No.
The only one you're going to be a blind fanatic, as Sheikh Ibn Muqbil, rahmatullah ta'ala, he said you're going to blind follow the Prophet. If anyone you're going to make taqleed of like that so hard, you're going to be a fanaticism with, then do that just with the Prophet ﷺ. Just as Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, his famous statement said, that take from those who already did. They already passed. They already sufficed. Take from your salaf. From those who are alive are prone to make mistakes. So we have to be extremely careful. And what the brother is alluding to as far as saying we can't take from, he's not saying that we can't take from people that are outsiders. Mm-hmm. We're not saying that we're not willing to work from people who are not from us. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that just think about it. If individuals come here from other places and have not shared the same circumstances or are not prone to the same thing that we know, and then we have individuals who were here, who were born here, who have went through some of the same trials and tribulations that we have went through, and they have studied, Allah bless them to study for long times, and they have excelled academically, like Sheikh Tahir, like Ali Davis, like Muhammad Munir. Why? Or like Abu Aliyah. Why, for example, or like different brothers that come here, that really from here, from actual Philly, meaning Tahir, Muhammad Munir, Ali Davis, Abu Sajid.
No.
Why, for example, we can't take from these individuals? Why can't we take from them? When we know them, if we're going to start using Jahwat Ta'dil principles, we know them. But we don't know Hasan Somoli. And that's just the truth. We don't know him. Alhamdulillah, if he called to the Sunnah, we embrace him because he called to the Sunnah. But we don't know him. You understand what I'm saying? We don't know Abu Khadeejah. We wasn't raised up with them. Alhamdulillah, if they call to the Sunnah, we're not saying we don't deal with them, but we don't know them. So we shouldn't just say, okay, who are they, to just say we're going to take their statements over the statements of people we know. That's not from intelligence. It's not from intelligence. And it's not blind following. If you got any problems with anybody, start listening to the scholars. I remember Abu Maryam Alim a long time ago. He had a mektab across the street from Germantown. And I remember now, I understand, like I said before, I understand the reason why he was doing this. Back in the day, he used to always just sell the tapes of the early map.
I remember that.
And I remember one time having a conversation with him. He said, we got to wean the people off the du'at, and we got to wean them towards the early map. Because these are the people who know Allah's books, who sacrifice their lives and their times to study Islam, to study it and understand it. Not students who, alhamdulillah, ain't nothing wrong with that, but they study parts and bits and pieces. Some people haven't excelled. You got 22 years in Medina from Sheikh Tahir, who actually studied and excelled. You got Muhammad Munir, who studied and excelled. You got brothers who went overseas and studied and excelled in one particular fin. And we got a lot of us who are translators. Some are stronger than others in Arabic. But honestly, a lot of them brothers, we just got to be realistic. They haven't excelled to a certain level of other people. But that don't mean we can't all work together.
Yeah, we can
that
work.
don't mean we all can't, we come
can work
together.
together, yep.
Why do we have to turn on each other? Why do we have to say that our brothers are a temyir and not apply the same thing like the article was saying to the scholars? We make all excuses for the scholars. Oh no, I'm not going to say that about the scholars. I'm not talking.
They're doing the same
scholars.
exact thing.
And they doing the same exact
Going to the
thing.
same masters, teaching at the same reason you wrote in Ali Davis in them out. It's the same thing. Sheikh Suhaimi, same thing. A lot of scholars do every single day at all these different lectures and conferences around the
Eid
world.
al-Qarni. This is a big kicker for me. Eid al-Qarni is known in the world as to be what? An innovator, according to us, according to the noble brothers. But what happened? Sheikh Fawzan went to go visit him. So we're going to say Sheikh Salih Fawzan is an innovator now?
You got Tamir.
That he got temyir now? That he worn down the dawah now? Come on, we can't allow people to apply principles. And we have to look at stuff for what it is. As Sheikh Shamari said the other day, we have to look that it's born from a sickness of the heart and it's born of a Hasan. We can't keep saying
oppression.
It's not Hasan.
It's jealousy and oppression.
We heard the talk of Abu Hasan Maalik. He said jealousy for who? No, it's Hasan. It got to be Hasan because it can't be Deen. If it's Deen, you can be able to come back and have a real monakasha. You can bring proofs and points and say, okay, we don't do it this way, we don't do it that way. I give you a perfect example. We went to go visit Sheikh Falah. We wanted to record it with a video.
No.
We had our cameras. It was about 5 of us. So 2 of us was in agreement that we can video the Sheikh, right? And then the other 3, well, they were saying, well, actually 3 of us was to a point that we can record because one was the cameraman, and the other 2 was like, no, we don't take that. We take the position of Sheikh Mukbil and the scholars who say that we don't record. When we got to the hotel, needless to say, we didn't record the Sheikh, but we did ask the Sheikh the question because we all both was going back and forth. So the Sheikh said, who am I to go against that when scholars greater than me, like Sheikh Uthaymeen, scholars greater than me have allowed themselves to be recorded for the purpose of being recorded to spread the dawah. That taught me something. And what that taught me was, here we are bickering back and forth about positions, and we still can have harmony with one another, even if we take either position. That don't mean because you don't want to get recorded, I have to not like you now.
No, exactly.
That don't mean because you do want to get recorded that you got temyir, or you want to be known, or you want to be seen. That don't mean that. Stop letting these brothers come in here twisting the words of the Salaf. That's a shame. They read the words of the Salaf, and we all agree. The other day I listened to Somoli talk. I agree with majority of, if you read it from Imam al-Jawri, I agree with that.
But
if he's reading Quran and Sunnah, I agree with that.
No.
But why would you twist it around to Muhammad Munir? Where did his statement fit Muhammad Munir? Where do his statements fit Tahir Wyatt? Where do his statements fit even Shadeed Muhammad? And the way that the brothers dealt with Shadeed Muhammad, that was incorrect. The way that they dealt with him. We're not talking about advising him. The way that they dealt with the brother was incorrect. And they know this to be true. It wasn't Sheikh Falah told us this. We don't use our minbars. When Ahlul Sunnah refute Ahlul Sunnah, we don't use our minbars as a platform for that. We have in our heart that we want that person to come off that mistake. We want that person to retract from that. We want that mercy. So you hear us making dua for that brother. You see us trying to always come to the brother, grab him by the hand, show love, and point out his errors. Not
want to destroy him.
Not want to destroy him. Not saying this about him. Not calling him an ahmaq, a stupid, an imbecile, a fool, a person that wanted this. You can't do that. So even if Shadeed Muhammad,
a donkey.
So even if Shadeed Muhammad does have issues, and I'm not saying he doesn't have some type of issue, but I'm not saying that Somali and them don't have issues either. Everyone have issues. Even me. All of us say. When Sheikh Falah, I asked him, can I translate Talatul Usul from audio? He told me no. He said, why? Because I want to check it first.
No.
Every time a person speaks, he's prone to make mistakes.
And that was a scholar. And it's, something else that I want to point out. A lot of brothers say our ustad and our elders and things like that. That's, to me, that's disrespecting the people who may deserve that title, like Tawfiq Abu Zainab, who's been given dawah for over 20 years. I mean, when I first accepted Islam in the 90s, he was already given dawah. Why he's not ustad, our elder? Abdul Hafiz, Imam Mukbil, that's our elder, who's been given dawah longer than someone's been alive.
Fareed Abdullah. Talib
Abdullah. These are people. Dawood Adib. These are elders, people who've been given dawah longer than some of us been alive, who deserve the title ustad and elder. Who, if you want to turn your affairs back to anybody, it should be with them because they might precede us in knowledge, and they definitely precede us in life experience.
And they also precede us in Islam.
Exactly.
They precede us in Islam. So it's important to understand that we can't keep calling the youth no more elders. That's not even befitting. Sheikh Uthaymeen, he was against calling youth, a little boy, 6, 7 years old, sheikh, using the term sheikh to a little boy 6, 7 years old in the language, Lugatan. That's not even, that's not even cool to call someone sheikh, because sheikh either refers to someone of knowledge or refers to someone of old age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're not even applying it correctly. So when we start calling the people like that, and then it goes on. You see how fanaticism go? We call them ustad, and then we call them leaders, and then we call them, noble. And then what Sheikh Mukbal said?
He said the Sahaba didn't call each other noble. They didn't call each other virtuous, the callers of truth. They didn't use those words with each other. Sahaba didn't call each other that. So I got to call somebody who's not even an imam, not even a scholar that?
We can't do that. And I ask you, brothers and sisters, really, really, really start opening your minds. Like the brother said, read, ask questions. Don't listen to a talk and say, okay, say advice that Hasan Maalik. I'm not even going to listen to the brothers. They, like the one brother said, it's a hate Salafi talk. I'm not even going to listen. Don't shut your mind down like that, because we're not hating on nobody. Number one, we want the brothers, inshallah ta'ala, the Ikhwan, to all come together. We want the people to put aside their petty differences and respect knowledge. And we want them to understand that Sheikh Tahir is over them. Sheikh Tahir have 22 years over them, studying. He is over them. And he have plenty of Sheikh that like him. Even the Sheikh that they're talking about, Sheikh Obaid. And analyze the statements of Sheikh Obaid against Tahir. Tell them to really bring them statements out and see what the Sheikh said. Analyze Sheikh Muhammad Mahadi with position with Tahir. See, you only know one side. Ask him what Sheikh Muhammad say about Tahir. Don't mention this and that. Ask him what he say. Ask him what Sheikh Rabia had a special seat for Sheikh Tahir in his house. Ask him about that. This is the stuff you really got to ask them about. Don't have them showing you one side here that, that the scholars are all against Tahir. That's not true. Akhi, what Sheikh Salih Suhaimi said, he is the best from amongst them that came from Philadelphia. Give props and props is due. I hardly know the man. Yeah. But I'm glad that somebody from amongst us reached those heights.
Yeah.
And alhamdulillah, our brother, our brother Muhammad ibn Munir,
yeah.
May Allah Jalla wa Ala reward him tremendously.
I mean,
this is a brother that all of us should have some type of gears for. Especially myself, I'm a little bit older. Yeah. This man been studying knowledge, since 14 years old.
Yeah.
Ain't in no nonsense or nothing. He just been studying knowledge. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him what? Insight. Now look at where he at.
Right here from Philadelphia.
Right here from Philadelphia. And we can't even, support him when he was just on everybody member.
Yeah, can't even support him.
Everybody was listening to his tapes. Now all of a sudden, Hasan Somoli say, no, we can't take from him because he's watering down the deen. And then he's using blanket statements from Earl Imam. And then we say we can't take that. SubhanAllah al-Azim. SubhanAllah al-Azim. No one, Sheikh Rabia, even if you go ask him personally, he'll have to produce his proof. Sheikh or no Sheikh. Tell me any other Sheikh is telling us we can't deal with the likes of these brothers, Muhammad Munir, Sheikh Tahir. I just challenge you. Tell me any Mashaykh telling us that we can't deal with them absolutely with proof. Because the scholar statement that Sheikh Fawzan said is not proof.
It's not proof.
So show me with proof that they tell us they can't. And how would they know better? And this is honest. They would know better about our people than we do, and we here with them.
Yeah.
We're here with them. Huh? Don't be fooled, brothers and sisters. Sheikh Fawzan was asked the question, can we give dawah in a masjid that oppose the dawah to Salafi? Can we give dawah there? A student. He said yes, with hikmah and good exhortation.
That's it.
Right? As long as they don't place no restrictions.
Sheikh Ben Baz said keep the door open to the people, the places of innovation. Keep the door open so that maybe we can advise them.
We're not watering down the dawah.
No, we're not closing the door.
Watering down the dawah, sitting there allowing the kuffar and the ahlul bid'ah sit around and build around us while we're sitting there screaming against our brothers. That's watering down the dawah. To me, watering down the dawah to me is sitting there spending all of our time and energy going down D.C. giving a whole lecture of who you take your knowledge from, and at the same time all you're doing is busy and people talking about brothers that was either peers to each other or brothers. Like, that's watering down the dawah.
And the fact that 12 people were shot last night in Philadelphia, 4 of them died. This is every night though. This is a normal night. But you're not saying anything about that. You're not trying to advise that. You're not trying to call away from the shirk and the kufr that leads to that. That's the reason why they're shooting and killing each other, because they're stuck in before Islam. But you're not saying anything about that. That's left alone. You're quiet on your members about this violence and this chaos in our city. But you're attacking other people of Sunnah. That's watering down the religion.
That's watering down religion because the religion came as suitable for every time and place. And Islam has the correct answers for these people. We are a witness to them. So while we're not engaging in those things, and we're not supporting and saying that anything like actions that any of our brothers did that might be questioned to us. We're not saying that we won't say nothing about that. For those who have been dressing us about, what do you say about the formal tie and the suit that I think our brother Shadeed Muhammad has been promoting? We're not saying that we're in agreement with that. We're not saying we're agreeing with protesting. We're not, but we're not also being oblivious to the fact that there are scholars from amongst our scholars and from the scholars of the past that have
protest in the West.
That said that you can protest in the West. However, we don't agree with that. You know, as our brother Isa eloquently put it, he said, "Show me any bab about protesting,
any book of fiqh,
that mentioned about protesting." So that was strong for me. We're not saying that that we agree with everything that our brother Shadeed Muhammad is doing. But all we're saying is that we aren't the scholars and we aren't knowledgeable enough to say that he's an innovator, saying that he's definitely upon innovation. We're not going to go that far. And if you want to turn around and twist our words, yeah, they're supporters of Shadeed Muhammad. He's a Muslim, last time I checked. He's not a person upon innovation. But I don't agree with every single thing that man does.
Yeah,
but that don't give me the right to call him an innovator.
The crazy part is we don't agree with each other every day. And we live together. That's going to happen.
That's going to happen.
I don't have to agree with Shadeed, but I don't have to call him an innovator either. But the things that I don't agree with him with, I don't agree with. I'll say that. And that's that. But as far as calling my brother an innovator and attacking his honor, I'm not doing that.
And last but not least, we're going to end this with this. Abu Hasan Maalik, Ustad. Abu Hasan Somoli, Ustad. Abu Khadeejah. Since he's not really over here, but if this video gets you, and I'm pretty sure that the people around will pass and circulate this video, I advise you brothers to stop this nonsense. Really show the Muslims that we can unite. I challenge you. I challenge you to stop this nonsense. I challenge you to put down your difference. I challenge you, Hasan Somoli, to take the advice of Sheikh Obeid. And you know what I'm talking about. When he told you to sit down with Sheikh Tahir and present your proofs and your evidence and have an ilmiya and have a real knowledgeable talk and debate and bring your points. I challenge you to really do that. I challenge you to stop busying the common folks with this nonsense. I challenge you to stop separating us here in our cities, making brothers not speak to brothers, making sisters no longer deal with sisters, making even family members.
Yeah, even family members.
Not looking at one another. I challenge you to stop that. And if you're not up to the challenge, then I ask you to leave. And I mean that. If you're not up to the challenge, we don't need you here. We have enough students here that can teach. We have enough students here that are willing to spread the deen of Islam, because we're not tolerating anyone doing this stuff. And I challenge you, and Abu Hasan Maalik, you are from here. And I challenge you also to start producing some evidence. Don't play behind the shadows. Don't speak. With that, what you did with our brother Naeem was not noteworthy. That what you did even back then when I talked to you about Abdullah, and you know the conversation we had. That wasn't noteworthy. Even when you said you was gathering statements against Shadeed Muhammad, when that wasn't even the time to say that. In a class setting, that wasn't noteworthy. I challenge you as well. Even when you used to take Muhammad Munir up there in your office, when I was there to witness that. Even when you used to read from the books of and the works of Sheikh Yahya al-Jori, I witnessed that as well. So don't say that's not noteworthy. What's noteworthy is stop causing chaos. As Sheikh Shamari said, and I'm going to call it like he called it, it's not coming from nobody else. It's coming from you guys. It's coming from you. It's coming from us. We are the ones causing this chaos. The Ikhwan ain't causing this chaos to us. The Khawarij ain't causing this chaos to us.
The Sufis not causing this chaos.
No, it's us causing the chaos.
You guys are on the minbar slandering by name, calling people this and donkeys and saying don't take from this one. You don't hear that coming from this masjid particularly. We don't get on the minbar and say don't take from Germantown. We don't get on the minbar and say anything about Jamil Finch or Anwar Wright. We don't.
No, that might be in a private setting. I mean, not a private setting. That might be in another setting where we say that and making it public and give advice. Because if you go to them and talk to them directly, which I tried multiple times, Anwar, you're not going to get across. I called Anwar on the phone. How you get my number? He actually shut down on me. And I called Hasan Somoli multiple times. Left voicemails on his answer machines up there. They know this. This is actually proven. I had a guy call back from the masjid. I actually called Jamil Finch. This is nothing new with me. I've been trying to connect the students since 2007. See, people don't know the behind the scenes. I've been trying to connect them. Abu Mesa can be a witness to this. Hamza Abdul Razak can be a witness to this. And even the reports that we're getting down there in D.C. after how they did our brothers down there with our brother Akil Ingram. And the stuff that now that Hamza is standing on the minbar and he's saying if you're a Yahya supporter or a Munir supporter and he's using the minbar. After we all heard Sheikh Falah tell us that we can't use the minbar for that. Then we're advising Hamza as well. Stop this nonsense. Stop going everywhere and causing, corruption. Allah Jalla wa Ala tells us about the signs of the hypocrites. They say that we only want peace and rectification, but they are the ones who are causing mischief on the earth.
No.
Stop going places and causing mischief. Everyone from us, like Abu Wais Rahimahullah said, we don't all have to be goofy. No. Everyone from us don't have to be goofy. We can all come out with that which is correct. If you got a problem with any student, don't put it out on the web. Don't put it out on the internet. You hear the scholars talking about that. Go advise them.
Go advise them.
Go advise them.
Bring your evidence, though.
Yeah,
establish your evidence and sit down with him and advise him. And if he doesn't take it the first time, keep advising him. Keep advising him and keep advising. Because we keep advising the Christians, don't we? Yep. Our families that's not Muslim, we keep advising them, don't we? And we don't come out and say, you know what, that filthy cat for this. I'm not never going over there again. We still keep going up to our aunt house. Still going to see our mother. We still going to see our father. We still going to see our uncles. We don't give up on them, but we give up on our brothers. But the mistakes usually don't even take you out of Salafiyah. It be ijtihad issues that you can have ikhtilaf in. Yep. You can have differences in. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if we're going to unite, there's shirk out here. There's kufr out here. Our people are drowning. The American people are drowning in shirk, kufr. They're drowning in it. They're dying in it.
The Salafis are drowning in sin.
Exactly.
And let's call a spade a spade. The Salafis are drowning in sin. Jamil Finch, here go a bone for you. If you're saying that our brother Ali Davis is accusing people of irja, we're not accusing of that. But look at what is irja. Look at really what was the creed of irja. Somehow the Salafis, those who go to the Rashids and those who, quote unquote, the correct creed, it seems as if we can do all the sins and dirt under the world, but at the same time, all we got to do is say, well, I'm Salafi. My akid ain't jacked up like that. That's
belittling sins.
That's belittling sins. Yeah. That resembles irja.
Because that's from one of their principles. They belittle sins.
We're not saying they're murji'ah. We're saying that resemble that. And that's what our brother Ali Davis said. Don't try to spin it like Ali Davis is supporting of Hizbis and stuff. Don't do that. We want the people to come back to that which is correct. And last but not least, Hasan Somoli, stop putting the battery pack in that brother Mustafa. He's using the minbar up there to speak ill of people. It's not his place. Calling everybody Ahlul Bidah, making blank statements, calling Qatman Av Ahlul Bidah. He has to be specific. He can't call people that. And that's not from our way. And we can all challenge you to go sit with any scholar you want to sit with. And let's present all of the things that have been happening for years. And statements that have been happening even up to now. Mm-hmm. And let's see what the scholars say. Let's see what their advice be to us about not using the minbar as a platform to attack one another.
No, that's it. SubhanAllah.
Barakallahu feek. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.